My understanding of what happened is that the State Department had emails that they gave to the committee that was formed, we now know, to politically, in a partisan way, go after me, not investigate what happened in Benghazi, and that we'd already provided those emails because they were already on the state.gov system.
Presidential candidate Hillary Clinton on the PBS NewsHour last night casting doubt on the legitimacy of the Select Committee on Benghazi. Mrs. Clinton claims Republicans are politicizing Benghazi, and now her supporters are calling for this Select Committee to be disbanded. But is that really warranted? For more, let's bring in Edward Klein from Newsmax New York. He is the author of a book I like very much, Unlikable: The Problem with Hillary. And Skyping in from Connecticut, the one-time Lieutenant Governor of New York, Betsy McCaughey. Ed, first to you. In about 2 weeks, Mrs. Clinton is scheduled to testify before the Benghazi Select Committee. Kevin McCarthy made comments that ended up in a Hillary ad. Does that give Democrats carte blanche to try and walk out of the hearing?
I think we're seeing a new, more feisty Hillary in the last week or so. This is a Hillary who might feel that her back is against the wall. The emails, Bernie Sanders, maybe Joe Biden, Benghazi, and suddenly she's got her gloves on and she's fighting, she's angry. I think she's going to attack the committee rather than let the committee attack her. And you know, we should not count out Hillary Clinton. The Clintons have been in the mud many times before and emerged smelling like roses.
Yeah, back in the day it was what? It's all about sex. Now it's all about politics. That'll be your defense. But there are some other things going on here, Betsy, as the company that backed up the Clinton server had some concerns after they were told to change the way they were saving the data. Isn't that a valid concern for an organization like that Benghazi Select Committee?
Oh, yes. And never mind the public, even the pundits, even the press can't keep track of all the changing plot lines regarding the emails, the servers, the media companies, and Benghazi. But one thing is clear, most people still don't trust Hillary. And to me, the most profound event of the week was the Today interview Monday morning when Savannah Guthrie interviewed Mrs. Clinton. That should have been a puffball, very friendly interview. In fact, it showed how even the mainstream media are turning on Mrs. Clinton. You see, Guthrie suggested she wasn't likable. She was having trouble connecting with people. She wasn't trustworthy. And all of that, of course, validating the famous Ed Klein's new book, which you must read.
Yeah, well, I have read it, and it's interesting. You talk about changes. We've seen it with Hillary, for example, in this Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Yes.
She made it official, pulling a 180. I tell you what, let's listen to Hillary then and now.
The so-called TPP will lower barriers, raise standards, and drive long-term growth across the region. It will cover 40% of the world's total trade and establish strong protections for workers and the environment. We welcome the interest of any nation willing to meet 21st century standards as embodied in the TPP.
And of course now she says the TPP is no good. Now, Ed, you have written before about the rift between Obama and Mrs. Clinton. This very public rift, is it political necessity to embrace the left? And will it trigger the entry of Joe Biden into the race?
A long time ago, Bill said to Hillary, according to sources who were in the room when he said this, go left for the nomination and don't worry about whether you look like you're renouncing my presidency or Obama's presidency. You got to go for the base. And that's exactly what she's doing. She does not want to be outflanked on the left by Bernie Sanders.
Oh, absolutely, and these union endorsements are at stake. Let me point out also that the first Democratic primary debate is next week, so she is teeing up her left-wing credentials for that.
Well, and bringing up the specter of that first Democrat debate that's on CNN next week, you remember back in 2000, I think it was the second debate between George W. Bush and Al Gore was suddenly saying, oh, I agree, because he had appeared too controversial, too mean to George W. in the first debate. Now that Hillary and Bernie Sanders are on the same side of the TPP, Ed, will this undercut Sanders and really help her with a left-wing base?
I think it will. I think, first of all, she has to shore up her support with the left-wing base, and as Betsy just pointed out, at least as important, maybe even more important, with the union base. And that's exactly what she's been doing. And I think it's going to work. I think she is, we keep forgetting that when you look at the polls, Hillary still is way ahead of Bernie Sanders nationally. He may be doing okay in Iowa and New Hampshire. Pretty good, as a matter of fact. But other than that, Hillary is eating his lunch.
All right, Betsy McCoy, 15 seconds of advice for Hillary. Taking away all the political disagreements, what would you advise her to do in the upcoming debate?
She's got to lock in the union support. That's the lifeblood of the Democratic Party. She's got the two big teachers' unions. Now she's got to go after SEIU and the other big unions.
All right.
Public sector unions.
Fair enough. Betsy McCoy, Edward Klein, we thank you for your time. Ed, of course, the author of the great new book, which I liked, entitled Unlikable, The Problem with Hillary. Coming up next, Donald Trump defends comments made by his closest competitor in the GOP field. Our political panel will talk about it next.